So as I explained last week, I want to have more of these regular sessions. These sessions that is raw and uncut, and I must do it in one single take. So there must not be cuts in between the segments. So it really needs to be raw and uncut and unfiltered. So it needs to be with ums and hums, and just to show a whole thinking process. So it must not be really written in a narrative and be stuck to a kind of a purity, correct type of way or of inhabiting the space of YouTube. So this week I want to kind of join the global conversation that is currently happening, and that conversation is around Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And I had many conversations this week with friends, family, and even I would say youngsters about the conflict in that part of the world between the Ukraine and Russia. So I know there's a lot of analysts and a lot of people out there who already gave really good analysis on the conflict and gave great timelines and explains it in much depth. That what I'm going to do here, but I'm not doing it to kind of give explanation or narrative. It's more raising a question, and that question is Russia is Russia engineering an international crisis? Because if the one thing that we can say about Russia and really Putin's leadership in Russia is that it's very calculated. It's calculated in the sense that he knows what he's thinking. So I came down to, I think, two theories. Two theories is one that is related to him as the leader of Russia for so long, is that like all leaders, at one point you completely get corrupted by power. If power is not checked, or there's no people checking the level of power that you have, then you at one point believe that you became or is a godlike figure. You are a deity. You can do anything and nobody will hold you accountable. So then it raises the question, is this the specific case with Putin? Is he completely corrupted by power? Because believe it or not, Russia is still, even after the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1990, Russia is still one of the major global players in terms of politically and even economically. So they shift global political events and power relation between states in the world, as we saw this week. So is Putin corrupted? Completely corrupted by power? I don't know. I really cannot say or have an answer with regards to that specific question. So if let's say he's not corrupted by power, so then it brings me back to the question I raised in the beginning: is he engineering an international crisis? If it does, and if it does, if that is his intention, to what end is the specific? What is he trying to get from this crisis if he's engineering it? What is it in it for Russia in this particular thing? And I think this is where I think I want to kind of join the conversation with many other people in the world. And And this takes me back to a specific incident last year. Around about the same time, Russia this year invaded Ukraine. So I don't know if people know or saw it, that on the 20 February 2021, Joe Biden made this famous statement, is that America is back. So that came after some time of the Donald Trump presidency. So suddenly America arrives and they say, we are back. We're back and we are in a major sense a global play in politics. And that is interesting, because I think from that point onwards, the intensity and the intensity in the building up to the Ukrainian conflict really started, is when Biden made that specific statement that the US is back. And it's really important for me that we need to kind of think about what it means when Biden said that America is back. Because during Trump's era, we saw the global rise, the global rise of China, and China became one of the three dominant global political players. So you had Russia, you had that Russia dominated during the Trump presidency. You see the rise of China, and America, especially when Biden came in with the global pandemic of COVID, the COVID-19 global pandemic. Suddenly, I think America realized that they were a little bit behind in this new race that is taking place, and they were distracted in this global developments, I think, by Trump. So it's the kind of internal politics, but also the conflict in the Middle East, where they were for so long. So America really geared up and becoming this global, or wanted to regain their position as a global political leader. From that moment, Biden said, we are back. Because I think America realizes that they cannot be in a conflict, in the Middle East for that long. And they also have now developed a drone technology that doesn't need a amount of troops in Afghanistan or in the rest of the Middle East. The drones is doing the work of many troops. So that's the first indication, is that they need to retreat, they need to re-strategize, and they need to think about how would they remain the global and the dominant political power. And I think Russia saw this coming, Putin saw this coming, and they needed to test the waters. They needed to test the waters to see what would the reaction be from the West, and who would be with Russia in this particular thing. So under the noses of the West, you see BRICS, you saw Brazil, Russia, India, China. So you saw that alliance happening. So in part of that alliance, two powerful global players is part of that alliance, which is Russia and China. So I don't have an answer completely to this question yet. I can just say, or I can just preliminarily mention what I kind of see. And I see a shift in the global political landscape. So I know some analysts ask the question, is this the next Cold War? Is this World War III? I don't have answers for that, but I know that there is 3 global players in the specific game, and those players, the United States, it's Russia, and it's China. And the reason why I really want us to kind of think a little bit more about China is the interesting question that Biden was asked is, what would China do? Or have you reached out to the Chinese government? One of the reporters asked, and Biden said is that he doesn't want to comment at this stage on that. And it shows is that China is kind of the trump card. If China aligns with the US, then Russia is singled out. If China aligns with Russia, then the US is singled out. So then the US must really rely on its Western allies, and that is where the game is currently at. If China aligns with Russia, then I think we have a situation of a Cold War situation that is taking place. If China doesn't join any of these and stays independent, then you have 2 of these kind of superpowers going at each other. And if they go each other in a very cruel, or not a cruel, in a very devastating way, one of them will be weakened by it. But even though in a kind of global political fight between the US and Russia, both of them will be weakened even if there is a victor. And if China doesn't join that specific fight, then China will become, I think, the strongest out of it, and will kind of, I think, become the next global dominant player. So this is where we're at. We're at a very interesting time in modern global political relations, and it's interesting to see how these 3 players is going to play the game, and I am using play the game over the next coming month and next coming years. And it would be interesting to see in 5, 10 years, in even 20 years from now, who was the victor in the specific game. So that is it from my side this week on the Raw and Uncut sessions. I hope you enjoyed it. I also hope that it made you think a little bit more about these events, and pose some really interesting and hard questions for yourself, and see and even join the conversation in the comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you think about this particular conflict. I'm really interested in also hearing from your side. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. It helps grow the channel. And until next week, thank you very much.